Right now, you are probably sitting in a room, staring at a glowing screen and dreaming of an escape. You imagine a beach in Boracay, the white sand cool beneath your feet, the turquoise waters stretching out toward the horizon, and absolutely zero emails to answer. It feels like the ultimate definition of freedom. But the real answer is far stranger, and your craving for that beach is actually a sophisticated trap. Your brain is misinterpreting what survival means in the modern world. Why does this happen? To understand this illusion, we have to look at how your mind processes stress. For 99.9% of human history, a hostile environment meant immediate physical danger. When a predator appeared, your ancestors experienced a massive spike in cortisol and adrenaline. This response was designed to be intense but short-lived. You either ran away or you became dinner. Once the threat passed, your biological systems returned to a baseline of complete rest. Today, your boss sends a passive-aggressive message at 9 o'clock on a Sunday evening, and your nervous system reacts exactly the same way it would to a saber-toothed tiger. But there is a crucial difference. You cannot run away from a digital notification, so that toxic stress never truly goes away. It simmers quietly in the background, day after day, week after week. This brings us to a phenomenon known as the Boracay Effect. It is a psychological coping mechanism where your mind confuses a temporary escape from stress with actual permanent freedom. When the pressure builds up to a breaking point, your brain demands a radical change of scenery. You book a flight, you spend thousands of dollars, and for 7 glorious days, you lie under a palm tree in the Philippines. You feel completely liberated. But are you really free? In 2014, Dr. Nawijn, a leading researcher in tourism and quality of life studies, conducted a groundbreaking analysis on vacationers. He tracked their happiness levels before, during, and after their trips. The results were startling. While people experienced a significant emotional spike during the anticipation phase and the vacation itself, their happiness levels returned to their exact baseline within 1 to 2 weeks of returning home. The vacation did not fix their lives. It was simply an expensive painkiller. Your brain craves the wrong kind of freedom because it is hardwired to seek immediate relief rather than long-term security. In anthropology, this is tied to what researchers call the immediate return system. Early human societies hunted and gathered food for immediate consumption. They did not store assets. They did not plan for decades into the future. And they did not understand compound interest. They lived entirely in the present moment because survival depended on it. When you feel overwhelmed by your modern routine, your inner hunter-gatherer takes over. It does not want you to build a complex passive income portfolio that will yield results in 10 years. It wants you to sit on a beach right now. But this creates a profound financial paradox. To fund these temporary escapes, you sell your most valuable asset, which is your time. You work 40, 50, or 60 hours a week at a job that drains your energy, collecting a paycheck just to spend it on a brief window of relaxation. You are trapped in the exhausting cycle of working to escape and escaping just to go back to work. In a famous 1998 study on behavioral economics, Dr. George Lowenstein introduced the concept of the empathy gap. This theory explains that when humans are in a calm, cold state, they completely underestimate how they will feel or act when they are in a hot, stressed state. When you are sitting peacefully at home, you might promise yourself that you will save 50% of your income and invest it diligently in high-yield dividend stocks or stable real estate. You create a perfect spreadsheet. But 3 months later, after a brutal week of corporate politics and endless deadlines, you enter a hot state of emotional exhaustion. The spreadsheet no longer matters. Your brain screams for relief, your empathy gap closes, and you buy an expensive vacation package you cannot truly afford. This is exactly why the concept of the silent millionaire is so deeply counterintuitive. If you study the wealthiest individuals in developing economies like the Philippines, you will notice something fascinating. They rarely dress in luxury brands, they do not drive flashy cars down the congested streets of Manila, and they do not constantly jet off to luxury resorts to escape their realities. Instead, they practice a disciplined form of lifestyle delayed gratification. They understand that true freedom is not the ability to take a vacation. True freedom is the architectural control over your own time. Consider the structure of a high-yield dividend portfolio. Every time you invest 1,000 pesos or $20 into a compounding asset, nothing life-changing happens immediately. You do not get a rush of dopamine. You do not get a tan. You might receive a tiny dividend payment that can barely buy you a cup of coffee. To your primitive brain, this feels completely useless. Your internal hunter-gatherer looks at that tiny dividend and sees a wasted effort because it cannot be consumed today. Yet, if you look closer, something miraculous is happening beneath the surface. Dr. Albert Allen Bartlett, a renowned physicist, frequently warned that the greatest shortcoming of the human race is our total inability to understand the exponential function. We think linearly, but wealth builds exponentially. Those small, unexciting dividend payments are building an invisible engine. When you choose to reinvest those dividends instead of spending them on temporary luxuries, you are buying back tiny fractions of your future. $100 of passive income does not mean you can retire. It means you own one full day of your life back. It means you have paid for 24 hours of your own existence without needing to trade your labor for it. The true danger of the Boracay Effect is that it blinds you to this math. It convinces you that freedom is an exotic destination you visit once a year, rather than a state of financial independence you inhabit permanently. If you keep spending your surplus capital on chasing short-term relief, you will remain a permanent tenant in someone else's system. You will always be forced to return to the desk, the office, or the store, running on a treadmill that never stops turning. To break this cycle, you must consciously reframe your relationship with money and geography. The Philippines, for example, is often viewed by foreigners as a cheap paradise to visit. But an emerging class of smart investors sees it differently. They see a country with a rapidly growing digital infrastructure, a young English-speaking population, and unique opportunities for high-yield passive investments. They do not go there to spend money on a fleeting vacation. They leverage the lower cost of living to dramatically increase their savings rate, throwing every available cent into assets that generate cash flow while they sleep. They use the environment to accelerate their journey toward genuine autonomy. Imagine a completely different scenario. Imagine waking up on a Tuesday morning. The sun is rising, casting a warm light across your room. You do not have an alarm clock screaming at you. You do not have a morning commute ahead of you. You look at your phone, not to check a stressful message from a manager, but to see that a series of automated dividend payments have just hit your bank account. You are making money simply because you exist. If you want to go to Boracay today, you can. Not because you are desperate to escape your life, but simply because you feel like looking at the ocean. And when you return, your life will not be waiting to crush you again, because you built a reality you do not need to run away from. That is the difference between an escape and independence. One is a temporary lease on happiness, while the other is full ownership of your destiny. Your brain will always try to trick you into choosing the quick fix, the short-term vacation, and the immediate dopamine hit. It is your job to override that ancient programming with intelligent logic. If you want to discover how to break free from these psychological traps and build an authentic life of compounding passive income, hit the subscribe button and join our community. We break down the hidden forces shaping your financial habits every single week. Tonight, when you finally close your eyes to sleep, you will probably still dream of that white sand beach. But remember that a week in paradise cannot cure a lifetime of financial captivity. True freedom is not about where you go on your vacation. It is about building a life where your daily existence is something you never feel the need to escape